Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. As a bloke once said, the first thing you learn in life is you can't educate idiots. How true it is. And I'm going to say that I agree with Senator Rice, protect the environment of the koalas. And those opposite Labor parties saying look after the environment. But I'll tell you who's destroying the environment. The National Parks Association and the National Parks, Mr Acting Deputy President. I'm very proud that on our farm of 400 acres, of which about 80% is cleared, we have a great colony of koalas. And they are safe because we graze sheep, we keep the fuel levels down, and if the lightning strikes, we don't get a savage fire and kill the koalas. Senator McAllister said that 80% reduction of koalas in the Pilliga. Of course there's been that many, an 80% reduction in the Pilliga. Mr Acting Deputy President, the Pilliga forest didn't even exist 200 years ago. It's grown in 200 years. And of course it was under forestry, and they allowed grazing in it and timber milling. And an old timber miller told me at Wabbaga one day when he was a kid, you'd hardly ever see a koala. He said, go down the creek tonight, this is 15 years ago, he said, you won't sleep for the noise of them. And they go, the strangest noise. Have you ever heard the noise of a koala? But what we've done, because of the Greens and because of the Labor Party, and especially the New South Wales government under Bob Carr, Senator Furquay, well, however you pronounce it, I apologise, they locked up the country and they left it. They wouldn't have hazard reduction burning. They wouldn't allow grazing to keep the fuel levels down. Mr Acting Deputy President, once you get more than 5 to 10 tonnes of fuel per hectare, a 40-degree day and a 50-kilometre wind, the fire is uncontrollable. No grazing in there, don't keep the fuel levels down. And what happened to the Pilliga 6 years ago? It burnt from one end to the other. One end to the other in a savage fire, because it's all national park now. No reduction no hazard reduction burning, no reduction in the fuel levels. I wish the Greens and Labor go and talk to Professor John Wamsley, who done all this research for years. For years, the Australian country, thousands of years, the Australian countryside was grazed by little kangaroos, millions of them, and native animals. What happened to them? They were extinct. Why are they extinct? Because some fool brought foxes here. That's why they're extinct. And so now, the National Park Association, lobbying the Greens and Labor Party to lock up all this country, leave it unmanaged, and let it burn and kill the animals in it. That's what they call conservation. It is an absolute disgrace. And you wonder why 80% of the koalas are dead in the Pilliga. It's because of the Labor Party locking up in the national parks, not allowing, they say you can't allow grazing, you can't have grazing of sheep in Cattle National Park, Mr Acting Deputy President. They've got hooves, you can't have hooved animals in National Park. Half the national parks are moving live with wild pigs, feral goats, brumbies, deer. None of those run around in Ugg boots. They've all got hooves at the bottom of their legs. But it's all right for them to graze the national park, but don't allow proper grazing and keep the fuel levels down. When are you going to learn? You can't lock up country and leave it. If you do, the grass grows, the rain falls, the grass grows, the grass dries out, the lightning strikes, and it burns. And when you get the hot fires, Mr Acting Deputy President, these savage hot fires, what do? They get up into the crown of the tree, they kill the trees, they're so hot on the ground they kill the native grasses and native seeds, and of course this is just destruction of our environment. And make no mistake about it, the Labor Party in New South Wales begging to the Greens pushing it with the National Park Association, have caused a huge loss of our environment and the death of our koalas. Make no mistake about that. And you can't argue about it. Come to my farm, Senator, and have a look at the koalas. I'll show you the photos in a minute on my phone when they're out in front of our house. How my wife goes out all through summer and puts water dishes at the bottom of the tree so they've got plenty of water. How they've got the creek to water in as well. Koalas do need water. Not they drink a lot of it, but if the trees are getting dry and the year is a dry summer as we get at times, then the eucalyptus leaves simply don't contain enough moisture, so they do like to get down from the tree and have a bowl of water. I would bet now that my wife and I have done more to save koalas than any other senator in this place, because we make sure they stay alive in our farm, we don't let them get burnt, we keep the fuel levels down, and they are safe. They are safe and they are happy, and they are also very healthy, and I'm very proud of the fact of that. Just unbelievable, this whole green religion, how you're thinking you're going to save the planet when in actual fact you're destroying it. As I said, fuel levels are the big issue, Mr Acting Deputy President. The country was grazed for thousands of years. History will show that. Millions and millions of small kangaroos, only a foot high. But as I said, sadly they're extinct because things like the foxes were brought to Australia. In the last 100 years, half the animals in Australia, in the world that have become extinct are in Australia, have come from Australia because of things like the foxes and the feral cats and so on. Animals that have been brought here and have upset nature. And of course, all we'll get from the Greens and others is, let's ban 1080. Don't kill the feral pigs, don't kill the wild goats and don't kill the foxes and that destroying our environment. No, target the farmers, target the coalition government. I mean, just how ridiculous. The Senator says climate change is a big cause. Well, let's go to the Black Saturday bushfires, that terrible time in Victoria, terrible time and loss of life and the loss of property. Half of the country burnt, roughly, was what? It was National Park, full of fuel. I remember one bloke there, Mr Acting Deputy President, he cleared the area around his house. They fined him something like $40,000 for knocking down trees. There was the only house left standing after the fire because he got rid of the fuel around it. 90 million tonnes of CO2 in the atmosphere from the Black Saturday bushfires, 90 million.